This is the UBSS Learning Support Workshop Series, Avoiding Plagiarism. Let's begin by asking, what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is defined as the use of someone else's work without acknowledgement. It is regarded as the stealing of intellectual property. This can include materials or ideas from any published or unpublished sources, whether it be print, electronic, or audio visuals. Of course, some of these are available freely on the internet. Regardless of that, the words or ideas of other people, without citing and referencing them, would be taken as plagiarism and is a very serious academic offence. We will discuss citing and referencing your work in another workshop. In this workshop, we will look at how to avoid plagiarism in your assessments. When you plagiarise, you are passing off someone else's work as your own for your own benefit. You may do this unintentionally or intentionally by quoting, paraphrasing, summarising, or copying material without acknowledging the original sources. When you do this, when you plagiarise, you are not following correct referencing guidelines, and you are guilty of academic dishonesty. Again, we will cover referencing and citing work in another workshop. Let's have a look at some examples of plagiarism. Copying chunks of text without using quotation marks and without appropriate acknowledgement is an example of plagiarism. Remember, acknowledgement means recognizing someone else's work. For example, when you cut and paste from websites or an online research paper, or even copying work done by another student, this is plagiarism. Instead, you should be using quotation marks. Quotation marks show that you are writing the exact words that someone said or wrote. You can avoid plagiarism by putting any copied texts in your assignments in quotation marks. Another example is when you're copying text from other sources and only make very minor changes or adjustments without appropriate acknowledgement. This is an example of unacceptable paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is when you state something in writing using different words. By paraphrasing, you show your lecturer you understand what you're reading. Duplicating your own work is another example of plagiarism. This is when you are recycling a piece of your own work that you have previously submitted for another course or assessment. This is known as self-plagiarism. You must always make your writing and assessments relevant to the topic of your unit. Plagiarism can also be when you're citing and referencing sources that you did not use in your assessment. Citing and referencing is where you list other people's work used in your assessment. You may be required to use photos, images, and other designs or tables and graphs in your assessment. To do this without crediting the original sources is plagiarism. You will notice that all the images used in this PowerPoint have been sourced at the bottom of each image to avoid plagiarism. Now that we know what plagiarism is, let's see what you should do to avoid it. The three main tips for avoiding plagiarism are: 1. Learn how to reference properly using the recommended style for your lecturer. Leave sufficient time for referencing before submitting your assignment, or better still, make a point of recording your references as you go. We will discuss referencing in another workshop. 3. Remember the basic motto for referencing: always give credit where credit is due. And don't forget to include references to any material you use in your assignment that is not your own. At UBSS, Turnitin is used to help lecturers identify plagiarism. Scriber and Viper are other apps free to students to use before submitting your work to your lecturer. This process of checking your work improves your academic writing and research skills by providing instant feedback of your work while also teaching students the importance of original work. Here are the sources used in creating this PowerPoint. Thank you.